risking your livelihood, would I consider coming back? You have many obstacles in your way. Money, for most, is their mecca. But the great masters have loosened its claws, and it no longer holds a grip on them. On the other hand, for those who are in love with the world, money is more precious than their sweet life, as if they were not even alive, because if they were, how could money be dearer? Measurements vary from hand to hand and from knee to knee. You do not possess the same standards as Muhammad. You've allowed the Pharaoh of your ego to take over your soul and have lost hold of the Moses of your spirit. They come and go without your permission, and you have no control over either of them. Hold on to Moses so that Pharaoh can never return. This dithering between right and wrong will not benefit you in the long run. Stains on the soul must be wiped clean. Even a speck inside will cause more harm than 1,000 stains on the outside. What kind of water could possibly wash off that inner stain? Perhaps a few water skins filled with tears. They must be honest tears. After cleansing, a penitent can anticipate safety and protection. Finally, he can sleep peacefully.
She trusts people who are trustworthy. She also trusts people who aren't trustworthy. This is true trust. The master's mind is like space. People don't understand her. They look to her and wait. She treats them like her own children. 50. The master gives...
Okay, gonna read from Rumi again. Here we go. It's another through input. 2 men were traveling together as part of a group. One of them had a belt filled with gold coins, which he never parted with. The other man anxiously waited for the gold owner to fall asleep so he could rob him. The owner of the gold innately slept lightly, and the thief could never outwit him. They arrived at the last resting place before their destination, and the thief, who had lost all hope of his prize and thinking that he might as well make a joke of it, asked the man, "Why don't you ever sleep?" "Why should I?" "So I can strike you in the head with a rock and steal your gold." "Really? Now, with this hope in my heart, I can finally sleep peacefully." Everyone praises his or her own sheikh, but the Prophet himself initiated me in my sleep. He gave me an initiation robe like any other, not one that ages after 2 days and can be thrown into the furnace of the bathhouse, or that you can clean yourself with after you've gone to the toilet. It is a robe of spiritual conversing, and not the sort of conversation that can be understood with one's mind, but one that is timeless, that transcends yesterday, today, and tomorrow. What can love possibly have to do with today and tomorrow anyway? A mouse happened to come by the reins of a camel. He grasped the reins in his teeth and proudly began to lead him around. The camel, unbeknown to the mouse, had been obedient before God, and feeling guilty and downtrodden, allowed the mouse to lead him, thinking that this was surely God's will. Meanwhile, the mouse imagined that it was his own might that had overwhelmed the camel, and he ordered him, "Walk on, I shall lead you." The camel soon noticed that they were about to reach a body of water, and he stopped. The mouse exclaimed, "Why are you stalling? There's a wide stream before us. Allow me to see how deep it is. Stand back." The camel checked the depth of the water, stepped back, and told the mouse, "It's easy. Come, it's just up to my knee." "Yes, I can see that, but there's a difference between your knee and mine. Have you repented now to never be insolent again? And if you ever are, then display your insolence with one who has the same knee height as yourself," the camel said coyly. I've repented, repeated the mouse. "Now take me on your back, please." The camel knelt down to allow the mouse to climb onto his hump. He said, "If there's a stream, the river Jehun, or even the greatest sea ahead, have no fear. I will carry you forever, because I am fearless."
Himself
Two
up
men were
to
traveling.
whatever the moment brings. He knows that he is going to die, and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistances in his body. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. 51. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares.
The fool, long is the night to the sleepless, long is the road to the weary traveler, long is the cycle of rebirths to the unwise, who do not know the truth. Should a traveler fail to find a companion equal or better, rather than suffer the company of a fool, he should resolutely walk alone. I have children, I have wealth. These are the empty claims of an unwise man. If he cannot call himself his own, how can he then claim children and wealth as his own? To the extent that a fool knows his foolishness, he may be deemed wise. A fool who considers himself wise is indeed a fool. A fool may associate with a wise man throughout his life and remain untouched by his wisdom, even as a spoon cannot taste the flavor of soup. On the other hand, an aware man, in a moment's meeting, can learn from a wise man even as the tongue tastes the flavor of soup. The unwise man, lacking understanding, behaves as if he were his own worst enemy, committing evil deeds that produce bitter fruit. It is unwise to do things that bring regret and require repentance, to cause suffering for oneself and a weeping and tearful face. It is wise to do things which do not require repentance, but bring joy and fulfillment, happiness and delight. Until he feels the effect, the fool rejoices in his evil deed. When the action reaches fruition, the fool harvests nothing but grief. Though the fool may practice asceticism, eating a speck of food on the tip of a blade of grass, he is not worth 1/16 of the Arhat, the knower of the Dharma. An evil deed does not produce its results at once. It smolders slowly like a fire covered by ashes and finally consumes its doer, the fool. The things a fool gains amount to nothing. Unwholesome acts cannot bring him wholesome results. What a fool hungers for is false fame, authority, power over others, and generous offerings. He seeks recognition as a doer, a wielder of power, a knower of right and wrong. His craving and pride are insatiable. There is a path that leads to worldly gain, another road leads to nirvana. Let the seeker, the disciple of Buddha, embracing seclusion, take the path to wisdom and enlightenment. Number 6, the wise. If someone sees an intelligent person who is skillfully able to point out shortcomings and give suitable reproof, let him. The fool, long is the night to the sleepless, long is the road to the weary traveler, long is the cycle of rebirths to the unwise, who do not know the truth. Should a traveler fail to find a companion equal or better, rather than suffer the company of a fool, he should resolutely walk alone. I have children, I well. These are the empty claims of an unwise man. If he cannot call himself his own, how can he then claim children and wealth as his own? To the extent that a fool knows his foolishness, he may be deemed wise. A fool who considers himself wise is indeed a fool. A fool may associate with a wise man throughout his life and remain untouched by his wisdom, even as a spoon cannot taste the flavor of soup. On the other hand, an unaware man, in a moment's meeting, can learn from a wise man even as the tongue tastes the flavor of soup. The unwise man, lacking understanding, behaves as if he were his own worst enemy, committing evil deeds that produce bitter fruit. It is unwise to do things that bring regret and require repentance, to cause suffering for oneself and a weeping and tearful face. It is wise to do things which do not require repentance, but bring joy and fulfillment, happiness and delight. Until he feels the effect, the fool rejoices in his evil deed. When the action reaches fruition, the fool
comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things. 52. In the beginning was the Tao. All things issue from it. All things return to it. To find the origin, trace back the manifestations. When you recognize the children and find the mother, you will be free of sorrow. If you close your mind in judgments and traffic with desires, your heart will be troubled. If you keep your mind from judging and aren't led by the senses, your heart will find peace. Seeing into darkness is clarity. Knowing how to yield is strength. Use your own light and return to the source of light. This is called practicing eternity. 53. The great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. When rich speculators prosper, while farmers lose their land. When government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures. When the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible, while the poor have nowhere to turn. All this is robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. 54. Whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Her name will be held in honor from generation to generation. Let the Tao be present in your life, and you will become genuine. Let it be present in your family, and your family will flourish. Let it be present in your country, and your country will be an example to all countries in the world. Let it be present in the universe, and the universe will sing. How do I know this is true? By looking inside myself. 55. He who is in harmony with the Tao is like a newborn child. Its bones are soft, its muscles are weak, but its grip is powerful. It doesn't know about the union of male and female, yet its penis can stand erect. So intense is its vital power. It can scream its head off all day, yet it never becomes hoarse. So complete is its harmony. The Master's power is like this. He lets all things come and go effortlessly, without desire. He never expects results. Thus he is never disappointed. He is never disappointed. Thus, his spirit never grows old. 56. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth. Block off your senses. Blunt your sharpness. Untie your knots. Soften your glare. Settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. It can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honored or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That is why it endures. 57. If you want to be a great leader, you must learn to follow the Tao. Stop trying to control. Let go of fixed plans and concepts, and the world will govern itself. The more prohibitions you have, the less virtuous people will be. The more weapons you have, the less secure people will be. The more subsidies you have, the less self-reliant people will be. Therefore, the Master says, I let go of the law, and people become honest. I let go of economics, and people become prosperous. I let go of religion, and people become serene. I let go of all desire for the common good, and the good becomes common as grass. 58. If a country is governed with tolerance, the people are comfortable and honest. If a country is governed with repression, the people are depressed and crafty. When the will to power is in charge, the higher the ideals, the lower the results.
Welcome to Subscribe Podcast, Scotty. Did you see?
Hey, there he is, Alan. What's going on?
Hey.
Scotty's coming at you live here, ready to come on to subscribepodcast.com.
Did you see I featured you on my YouTube?
No, which one?
Oh, just type in Dr. Appel and it's Dr. Scott Jones.
What is it?
Just
Dr. what?
go on YouTube, type in Steve Appel, Scott Jones. It kind of went viral.
YouTube, okay.
Just type in.
And then I go Steve Appel, Scott Jones,
Yeah.
Church.
Yeah.
Can we dox Elster?
And you lay the groundwork for misery.
I don't have an audience to dox or
Try to
to.
make people moral.
Talking about.
And you lay the groundwork for vice. Thus the Master is content to serve as an example. And
But I saw her in an audience in a pretty big room where there's like nonstop Jew hate. So she knows there's a lot of like really nasty people on this app. And it's kind of funny how like you can be a very nasty
Wait,
person.
how many hits did this get?
I don't know. It had like 50 views when I saw it. It's nothing like interesting. It's just like I was just like I could tell he was going to end the show. And so whenever Steve spoke, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to film him. Because it's like a bunch of platitudes. It's so stupid. It's technically like all the other rooms. It's basic. Every room is basically a show about nothing. Because there's just not enough compression to actually do any research or go in depth into anything. And it just always ends up being people getting angry and frustrated that people are talking over each other. It's the dumbest. If you really analyze what's happening here, it's basically like the chillism show where they propose that everybody remains chill, and then the whole show is nothing but people having emotional outbursts. It's kind of funny.
I got into it with Dr. James today a little bit.
Yeah, he's really wound up very tight.
Yeah, he was not happy with what I said. That's all right.
What did you say to him?
Well, it was not personal. It's just like he was saying, like I was saying to people, two things can be true at once, right? Like I said, evangelicals can have disproportionate amount of political power, and also they can feel marginalized. Like they can feel like, you know, the liberal media and stuff and the educational institutions, you know, are critical of them and kind of harassing them, and that's how they feel. And it's, you know, like we ignore this. I was just trying to explain how I think Democrats don't understand how a lot of the country feels, and how they feel like Democrats are pejorative to them, you know, condescending. And he wasn't into that.
Well, what I don't understand is like if everybody could just be like clear and give their political speech as if they were running for a party, you know, presidency. I mean, can't people just like put their cards on the table? Because there's so many TDS people on this app that are like part of the resistance. And I mean, everybody's a hypocrite, but you know, it is what it is. I think you should just like read books on this app. You have to dedicate, Scott, reading like 10 minutes a day on this app. Just do it, because most people on this app are just engaged in just totally wasted. I have renamed the app "Listen to Dumb People Waste Their Time." That's it. That's what's happening here. I mean, you have to admit that like 99% of all conversations is a total waste of time. There's no real information even being transmitted. It's just people's political feelings being transmitted. It's stupid. The app is stupid, and the people on it are stupid because there's no real information being transmitted. It's just fucking stupidity talking. That's it. It's dumb, low IQ people talking about nothing, wasting time. That was the name of my former show. Dumb, low IQ people talking about nothing, wasting time. That's really that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's pretty apropos.
So if you know that, try to change the frequency of the app. Try to change the vibration of the app. Read books into it. Play audiobooks into it. Organize people. Like, look at your PTR, like you're Mr. Podcast. Like, organize these fucks and make a minion. Get people to study. Yeah, get people to study God, because everybody on here is just doing the God negation game. Or there are other people who are just dumb and low IQ. So,
gotta get the posture.
what you got to do is hypnotize people with intelligence. Otherwise, it's a total waste of people's time here.
Study the posture.
To impose her will. She is pointed, but doesn't pierce. Straightforward, but supple. Radiant, but easy on the eyes. 59. For governing a country well, there is nothing better than moderation. The mark of a moderate man is freedom from his own ideas. Tolerant like the sky, all-pervading like sunlight. Firm like a mountain, supple like a tree in the wind. He has no destination in view, and makes use of anything life happens to bring his way. Nothing is impossible for him. Because he has let go, he can care for the people's welfare, as a mother cares for her child. 60. Governing a large country is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking. Center your country in the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that it isn't there, but you'll be able to step out of its way. Give evil nothing to
Here,
oppose.
Scott, let me show you how to do this. I have these little biblical cards. I encourage you to try to buy some, like on eBay, Amazon, but basically it's just Bible passages. And if you repeat them in like a hypnotic trance way, in a hypnotic way, it's very powerful wisdom. And this is something you could do on this app, something you could do on your podcast. You have to look at your podcast business as essentially a hypnosis business. So, the dumber things you say, the less valuable your time will be in your transmission of your communication. But if you just do this, like you got another hour of content that you can always go to. And it's just reading select Bible passages. Okay, so take the deepest breath of the day. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Don't be afraid. Just have faith. Whoever believes has eternal life. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in me and trust also in me. Do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. Your Father knows what you need before you ask him. If two of you agree here on earth concerning anything you ask, my Father in heaven will do it for you. I am with you always to the end of the age. Your Father already knows your needs. Love each other as I have loved you. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. God loved the world so much that he gave his one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Be happy, yes, leap for joy, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Anything is possible if a person believes. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. My Father's will is that everyone who looks to the Son and believes in him shall have eternal life. It is more blessed to give than to receive. You can pray for anything, and if you believe that you've received it, it will be yours. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. You will be blessed. I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. Everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never die. Anyone who believes in me will live. Peace be with you. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, I will give you rest. I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Where two or three are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. Whatever you ask in my name, that I will do. Nothing shall by any means hurt you. Rejoice because your names are written in heaven. How much more will the Heavenly Father give the Holy Spirit to those who ask him? Freely you have received, freely give. Ask and you will receive, that your joy may be full. I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth. Be encouraged, my child, your sins are forgiven. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. The Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. I will not leave you as orphans, I will come to you.
And it will disappear by itself. 61. When a country obtains great power, it becomes like the sea. All streams run downward into it. The more powerful it grows, the greater the need for humility. Humility means trusting the Tao, thus never needing to be defensive. A great nation is like a great man. When he makes a mistake, he realizes it. Having realized it, he admits it. Having admitted it, he corrects it. He considers those who point out his faults as his most benevolent teachers. He thinks of his enemy as the shadow that he himself casts. If a nation is centered in the Tao, if it nourishes its own people and doesn't meddle in the affairs of others, it will be a light to all nations in the world. 62. The Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge. Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because, being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it. 63. Act without doing. Work without effort. Think of the small as large, and the few as many. Confront the difficult while it is still easy. Accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. The master never reaches for the great. Thus she achieves greatness. When she runs into a difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. She doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are no problem for her. 64. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. The giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus, he can care for all things. 65. The ancient masters didn't try to educate the people, but kindly taught them to not know. When they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. When they know that they don't know, people can find their own way. If you want to learn how to govern, avoid being clever or rich. The simplest pattern is the clearest. Content with an ordinary life, you can show all people the way back to their own true nature. "66. All streams flow to the sea because it is lower than they are. Humility gives it its power. If you want to govern the people, you must place yourself below them. If you want to lead the people, you must learn how to follow them. The master is above the people, and no one feels oppressed. She goes ahead of the people, and no one feels manipulated. The whole world is grateful to her, because she competes with no one. No one can compete with her. 67. Some say that my teaching is nonsense. Others call it lofty, but impractical. But to those who have looked inside themselves, this nonsense makes perfect sense. And to those who put it into practice, this loftiness has roots that go deep. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and in thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate toward yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. 68. The best athlete wants his opponent at his best. The best general enters the mind of his enemy. The best businessman serves the communal good. The best leader follows the will of the people. All of them embody the virtue of non-competition. Not that they don't love to compete, but they do it in the spirit of play. In this, they are like children, and in harmony with the Tao. 69. The generals have a saying: rather than make the first move, it is better to wait and see. Rather than advance an inch, it is better to retreat a yard. This is called going forward without advancing, pushing back without using weapons. There's no greater misfortune than underestimating your enemy. Underestimating your enemy means thinking that he is evil. Thus, you destroy your 3 treasures and become an enemy yourself. When 2 great forces oppose each other, the victory will go to the one that knows how to yield. 70. My teachings are easy to understand and easy to put into practice. Yet your intellect will never grasp them, and if you try to practice them, you'll fail. My teachings are older than the world. How can you grasp their meaning? If you want to know me, look inside your heart. 71. Not knowing is true knowledge. Presuming to know is a disease. First realize that you are sick. Then you can move toward health. The master is her own physician. She has healed herself of all knowing. Thus, she is truly whole. 72. When they lose their sense of awe, people turn to religion. When they no longer trust themselves, they begin to depend upon authority. Therefore, the master steps back so that people won't be confused. He teaches without a teaching, so that people will
Did
have
you see
nothing
the
to
Stephen
learn.
Powell one? What? How many videos views?
73.
Oh, no views on that one.
The Tao is always at ease. It overcomes without competing, answers without speaking a word, arrives without being summoned, accomplishes without a plan. Its net covers the whole universe, and though its meshes are wide, it doesn't let a thing slip through. 74. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. Trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. When you handle the master carpenter's tools, chances are that you'll cut your hand. 75. When taxes are too high, people go hungry.
Okay, I'm gonna shoot a couple. I'm gonna shoot one more 3-minute video. The first book we're gonna read is selected poems from Charles Baudelaire, and then I'm gonna read from the Zohar. We are live streaming this on 8 different phones, and we are also about to do these 3-minute videos. Here we go. The owls. Beneath the somber yew trees' shade, the owls in solemn rows remain, like foreign deities profane, darting their scarlet eyes they brood. They will sit on there motionless until the sad time when day's done, and thrusting off the slanting sun, the shadows will the world possess. The wise man from their stance will learn, in his short life on earth to spurn the vigorous and turbulent. The men who passing shades embrace will always bear the punishment for having wanted to change place. Music. Beethoven. Music often takes me like a sea to my star pale beneath a hanging mist of boundless sky. I blithely sail, breast forward, and my lungs fill out with air like canvas full. I scale the heights of waters gathered there, which darkness veils. I feel pulsating all the passions, ship in distress, fair wind and storm in its commotions. On the abyss, rock me, at times dead calm, a vast reflection there of my despair. Joyful death, spleen. In fertile earth, heavy and full of snails, I want to dig myself a hollow grave and leisurely stretch out my mortal coil and sleep. a shark forgotten in the waves. I hate Old Testaments and funerals. Rather than beg the world to tear to give, I'd ask the crows to bleed my carcass foul at all extremities while I still live. Oh, worms! Dark neighbors without eyes or ears, behold a free and joyful corpse appear. Calm revelers, the offspring of decay, show no remorse, and on my ruin feed. You may still give it some new agony. This soulless corpse, old dead among the dead. The cracked bell, spleen. Bitter and sweet it is on winter eves to listen as the fire smoke's flickering, while dulled and distant memories revive, and far across the mist the church bells ring. Heavy the bell with accent vigorous, which age though it be is quickened well, and still sends out its cry religious, like an old soldier standing sentinel. My soul is cracked, and when in its despair it wants its voice to fill the cold night air, it often happens that its accents wane, sound like the rattle of a wounded man left by a pool of blood beneath the dead, who dies quite still his desperate struggle made. Spleen, I have more memories than 1,000 years.
Beneath the somber
When the government is too intrusive,
shade,
people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them. Leave them alone. 76. Men are born soft and supple. Dead, they are stiff and hard. Plants are born tender and pliant. Dead, they are brittle and dry. Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. 77. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent downward. The bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiency so that there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. 78. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The soft overcomes the hard. The gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. Therefore, the master remains serene in the midst of sorrow. Evil cannot enter his heart. Because he has given up helping, he is people's greatest help. True words seem paradoxical. 79. Failure is an opportunity. If you blame someone else, there is no end to the blame. Therefore,
Okay, this is the Zohar. I gotta try to find something that'll take me like 3 minutes to read. I wanna. Let's see. Okay. This is called Is There Anyone Like Moses? Is there anyone like Moses? On the third new moon, after the children of Israel had gone forth from the land of Egypt, on that very day they entered the desert of Sinai. They journeyed from Rephidim and entered the desert of Sinai and camped in the desert. Israel camped there facing the mountain, and Moses went up to Elohim. Happy is Moses, he attained the presence. Torah herself is his witness. Moses went up to Elohim. Rabbi Judah taught, come and see the difference between Moses and the rest of the world. For the rest of the world, going up means greater wealth, prestige, and power. But when Moses went up, what is written? Moses went up to Elohim, happy is he. Rabbi Yosef said, this is the origin of the saying of the comrades. One who comes to purify himself, they help him. For it is written, Moses went up to Elohim. What is written next? Yahweh called to him. One who desires to draw himself near, they draw him near. Yahweh called to him from the mountain, saying, thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, Rabbi Isaac opened, happy is the one you choose and bring near. He will dwell in your courts. Happy is the human being whom the blessed Holy One is drawn to, whom he draws near to dwell in the palace. Whomever he desires, for his work is marked with markings of the beyond, to show that he has been chosen by the high and holy king to dwell in his dwelling. Whoever displays that sign passes through all gates of the beyond. No one can stop him. Rabbi Judah said, happy is Moses. This verse was written for him. Happy is the one you choose and bring near. Of him it is written, Moses drew near to the thick darkness. Moses alone shall draw near Yahweh, they shall not draw near. All of Israel saw the letters, Anoki, a secret of secrets for those who know wisdom. The moment these letters came forth, secretly circling as one, a spark flashed out to engrave. A flowing measured extended 10 cubits on this side, and outshot comets inside comets, 71. The sparks burst into flashes up high and down below, then quieted down and rose up high beyond. The flow measured out 10 cubits on the other side, and comets shot out in colors like before, and so on every side. The spark expanded, whirling round and round. Sparks burst into flashes and rose high above. The heavens blazed with all their powers. Everything flashed and sparkled as one. Then the spark turned from the side of the south and outlined a curve from there to the east, and from the east to the north, until it had circled back to the south as before. Then the spark swirled, disappearing. Comets and... Is there anyone like Moses?
Master fulfills her own obligations and corrects her own mistakes. She does what she needs to do and demands nothing of others. 80. If a country is governed wisely, its inhabitants will be content. They enjoy the labor of their hands and don't waste time inventing labor-saving machines. Since they dearly love their homes, they aren't interested in travel. There may be a few wagons and boats, but these don't go anywhere. There may be an arsenal of weapons, but nobody ever uses them. People enjoy their food, take pleasure in being with their families, spend weekends working in their gardens, delight in the doings of the neighborhood. And even though the next country is so close that people can hear its roosters crowing and its dogs barking, they are content to die of old age without ever having gone to see it. 81. True words aren't eloquent. Eloquent words aren't true. Wise men don't need to prove their point. Men who need to prove their point aren't wise. The master has no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. The Tao nourishes by not forcing. By not dominating, the master leads.
Okay, that's the Tao Te Ching. I'm just gonna keep playing it.
But first, the message from L. Stein. Have I complained to you yet today?
Tao Te Ching can be translated as the book of the imminence of the way. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite
Okay, we're gonna do another reading from Zohar. This is called Korban and Ola, drawing near and ascending. Korban and Ola, drawing near and descending, he called to Moses. Yahweh spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any of you brings Korban to Yahweh." Rabbi Hezekiah was in the presence of Rabbi Shimeon. He said to him, "That which is called Korban, it should be called Kuruv, drawing near, or Kervut, nearness. Why Korban?" Rabbi Shimeon replied, "This is well known to the comrades. Korban, the drawing near of those holy crowns, drawing near to one another, connecting with each other, until all turn into one, complete oneness, to perfect the holy name, as it is written, Korban the Yahweh. The drawing near of those holy crowns is to Yahweh, so that the holy name be perfected and united, so that compassion fills all the worlds, and the holy name be crowned with its crowns, and everything be sweetened. All this is intended to arouse compassion, not to arouse judgment. Therefore to Yahweh, not to Elohim, to Yahweh. We must arouse compassion, not to Elohim. We need compassion, not judgment. Rabbi Hezekiah said, "I am so happy that I asked and gained these words. This is the clarity of the word. Zohar Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, enjoin Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the Torah of the Olah. Rabbi Eleazar as Rabbi Shimeon, his father, the bond of Olah, bound to the Holy of Holies, lighting up the joining of desire of priests, Levites, and Israel up above. How high does it ascend? He replied, we have already established this to infinity. For all binding in union and wholeness and secret are secreted in the secrecy that cannot be grasped and cannot be known. That includes the desire of all desires. Infinity does not abide being known, does not produce end or beginning. Primordial nothingness brought forth beginning and end. Who is beginning? The highest point, beginning of all, the concealed one, abiding in thought, and it produces, and the end of the matter, but there no end. No desires, no lights, no sparks, and that infinity. All these lights and sparks are dependent on it, but cannot comprehend. The only one who knows, yet without knowing, is the highest desire, concealed of all concealed nothingness. And when the highest point in the world, and the world that is coming ascend, they know only aroma, as one inhaling an aroma is sweetened. Guests in the sukkah. Okay, that's so hard.
Abilities. It is hidden, but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible, it gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind, that is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things, that is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The Supreme Good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing. Having without possessing. Acting with no expectations. Leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye. Sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, and it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all forms. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe.
Okay, this is another 3-minute meditation. This is called Meditation on Non-Death, number 13. I am the fish which swimmeth in the sea of the great waters, bearing all things in my belly, even as it is written, he had his dwelling in the great sea, and was a fish therein. This is the great fish wherein the prophet abode 3 days and 3 nights. Because of Jonah's suffering is the great fish an emblem of all pains and sorrows. For as the prophet's anguish brought him to follow my way, so are all pains and sorrows the portals through which man passeth to the heart of the great mother. Verily, the mother is the sea, wherein swimmeth the fish, and the fish and the sea are one. That one is the all, and entereth into all everything that is, even those things which men account unclean, is an aspect of this all, which is myself. And as the fish is hidden in the waters of the sea, so is the secret of the one, shut up within the semblance of the many. Therefore is the fish a sign of the secret wisdom, for that wisdom is not but the discovery of the one. To thee, O Israel, is the opening and the shutting of the gates to thee, after many questionings, of what and which shall appear as in a flash of lightning, the unfolding of the secret. That dazzling whiteness, too brilliant to be borne by mortal eyes, lighteth the path of every blessed one who attaineth to immortality. Yea, immortality is known to the wise who understand the secret of my perpetual being, the secret whereof the fish concealeth and revealeth the mystery. For the fish is the perpetual one, the father of salvation. Therefore is it written, Joshua was the son of Nun. What then is this that continueth without ceasing? Verily it is I myself, and that which changeth not is the motion which carrieth all things from place to place. Change perpetual is at the root of all things, and change hath two faces, a face of life and a face of death. For know ye, O Israel, that what men call life and death are as beads of white and black strung upon a thread. And this thread of perpetual change is mine own changeless life, which bindeth together the unending series of little waves and deaths. Comment on Nun. Nun pronounced noon, transcribed as and the number 50, meaning fish, the imaginative intelligence. The quotation, he had his dwelling in the great sea and was a fish therein, is from the Zohar, or Book of Splendor. The great sea, of course, is Binah. The prophet is Jonah, IVNH, signifying a dove. Note well that the dove is the bird of Venus, and that the great fish mentioned in Jonah 1:17 is Dag Gadol, DGGDVL, for which the numeral value is 50, the same as that of the letter Nun.
I am the fish which
returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion, in sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. Immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, amazing, we did it, all by ourselves. 18. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence
I am the fish which swimmeth in the sea of the great waters, bearing all things in my belly, even as it is written, he had his dwelling in the great sea, and was a fish therein. This is the great fish wherein the prophet abode 3 days and 3 nights. Because of Jonah's suffering is the great fish an emblem of all pains and sorrows. For as the prophet's anguish brought him to follow my way, so are all pains and sorrows, portals through which man passeth to the heart of the great mother. Verily, the mother is the sea, wherein swimmeth the fish, and the fish in the sea are one. That one is the all, and entereth into all everything that is, even those things which men account unclean, is an aspect of the soul, which is myself. And as the fish is hidden in the waters of the sea, so is the secret of the one, shut up within the semblance of the many. Therefore is the fish a sign of the secret wisdom, for that wisdom is not but the discovery of the one. To thee, O Israel, is the opening and the shutting of the gates. To thee, after many questionings, of what and which shall appear as in a flash of lightning the unfolding of a secret. That dazzling whiteness, too brilliant to be borne by mortal eyes, lighteth the path of every blessed one who attaineth to immortality. Yea, immortality is known to the wise who understand the secret of my perpetual being, the secret whereof the fish concealeth and revealeth the mystery. For the fish is the perpetual one, the father of salvation. Therefore is it written, Joshua was the son of Nun. What then is this that continueth without ceasing? Verily, it is I myself, and that which changeth not is the motion which carrieth all things from place to place. Change perpetual is at the root of all things, and change hath two faces, a face of life and a face of death. For know ye, O Israel, that what men call life and death are as beads of white and black strung upon a thread, and this thread of perpetual change is mine own changeless life, which bindeth together the unending series of little waves and deaths. Comment on Nun, pronounced noon, transcribed as and the number 50, meaning fish, the imaginative intelligence. The quotation, he had his dwelling in the great sea and was a fish therein, is from the Zohar, or Book of Splendor. The great sea, of course, is Binah. The prophet is Jonah, IVNH, signifying a dove. Note well that the dove is the bird of Venus, and that the great fish mentioned in Jonah 1:17 is dove.
Declines.
Amen.
Cleverness and knowledge step
Comedian by
forth.
Mauricio Callan worth $6.2 million.
When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about, like someone without a home. I am like an idiot, my mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the Great Mother's breasts. 21. The Master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. 22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. 23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you want to accord with the Tao, just do your job, then let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done.
Okay, this is the meditation on Beth. This is the magician number 1. Here we go. The meditation on Beth. One and one only am I in essence, changeless, indivisible, concealing within my being the 10 lights of divine emanation. In this mine unutterable unity, am I supreme and none is equal unto me. Yet though I myself remain unchanged throughout eternity, my power doth manifest itself in ceaseless change. They err who speak of my changelessness in essence, as if it were fixity in operation. That which changeth not is mine own nature, but this includeth the possibility of infinite diversity in ways and works. For the uninstructed this is a stumbling block. Confused by words of double meaning, they perceive not that this mine immutable nature is an essence whose first ground is life, and not mere being. Thou knowest me not, O Israel, if thou regardest me only as he who is. They know me indeed who know that I am he who liveth. I am life itself, and without mind there is no life. I am the essence of mind, and the essence of mind is will. Of my will are created wills are but reflections, and the essence of that will, what is it but desire? I am life eternal, and I am the eternal longing for manifestation, because of which I bring forth the shining worlds. For this do I divide myself, becoming two. Of these two, the first is the crown of my primal will. This my superior nature standeth above the world, which floweth forth from mine act of knowing, yet even the superior nature is to mine inmost essence as something outside, and therefore is it to me as Beth my house, for I am within it. And it is an emanation from me, nevertheless I fill my dwelling place, hence it is written that the Supreme is distinguished from the crown by name only. In my supreme abode stand I as the onlooker, because of mine unwavering contemplation the stream of manifestation continueth on its course. Whatsoever existeth hath its beginning in my will, continueth in my will, and by my will cometh at last to its appointed end. Than this indeed there is no other will in all the universe, yet in it do all creatures have a part. From my substance all things derive their substance, and all that hath form is built from my fourfold elemental manifestation. Four are the subtle principles which the wise conceal from the uninitiate by the names of fire, water, air, and earth. The meditation on Beth.
The world is sacred.
One only.
It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There is a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The Master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way, and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The Master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, He doesn't need others' approval because he accepts himself. The whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them, except in the direst necessity.
The meditation on Beth. One and one only am I in essence, changeless, indivisible, concealing within my being the 10 lights of divine emanation. In this mine unutterable unity, am I supreme and none is equal unto me. Yet though I myself remain unchanged throughout eternity, my power doth manifest itself in ceaseless change. They who speak of my changelessness in essence, as if it were fixity in operation. That which changeth not is mine own nature, but this includeth the possibility of infinite diversity in ways and works. For the uninstructed this is a stumbling block. Confused by words of double meaning, they perceive not that this mine immutable nature. Meditation on Beth. One and one only am I in essence, changeless, indivisible, concealing within my...
What up, Meyer?
And if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow, and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. 32. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace.
Okay, this is the Magician Part 2, Meditation on Beth. In endless variety of mixture and proportion directed by my will, these mingle together for the production of forms. They are transmutations of a single essence. From the minglings are brought forth all things. Watching thus the multiplicity of existences proceeding from my single essence, I understand them in all their relations. I perceive that the beginning, middle, and end is in truth myself. Thus do I see that all things, whatsoever their appearance, because they spring from mine own nature, are grounded in goodness. My superior nature is reflected also in the mind of man created in mine image. Know me thus as the source of all true will. Know me also as the power to perceive objects, as having the appearance of standing outside and apart from him who regardeth them. That in thee which so perceiveth objects, which giveth the power to distinguish between them, which revealeth them unto thee, in the relations to each other and to thyself, and enableth thee to search out the laws of the reciprocal action. Know this to be identical with my superior nature. Wherever this power acteth, whether in low forms or in high, I only am its source, and I the knower. Not thine, but mine is the power of attention, of observation, of discovery, of the discerning of sequence in the operation of nature. In all this, and in the power of discrimination, my superior nature worketh through thee. Happy art thou if thou canst grasp this, for then understanding that not thy weak self, but my all-knowing mind, looketh out upon the world through thine eyes, shalt thou have faith to let me see. Then shalt thou overcome the evil of thy senses by devoting them wholly to my use, not thou, but I. shall then discern the weight and shape and texture of the things which thou touchest. Not thine, but mine, shall be the knowledge of scent and savour, gained through nose and tongue. And when I use thine ears for hearing, they shall be attuned to sweetest harmonies, where now they are assailed by strident discord. So shalt thou become a partaker in the bliss of mine experience of the universe, a joy unknown to those of unperfected soul whose time of realization is not yet at hand. Comment on Beth. Beth, pronounced Baith, transcribed as B, the number 2, meaning house. Transparent intelligence. The 10 lights are the 10 Sephiroth, represented by the circles on the diagram of the Tree of Life. Used as a frontispiece in this volume, the names are Kether, Kokma, Binah, Chesed, Gebura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malkuth. Crown, wisdom, understanding, mercy, strength, severity, beauty, victory, splendor, foundation, kingdom, primal will. The second, fourth, and seventh Sephiroth form the pillar of mercy, named after the fourth Sephirah. Opposed to them, yet their complements are the third, fifth, and eighth Sephiroth, which form the pillar of severity, named after the...
And the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their functions should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao, as rivers flow into the sea. 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole heart, you will endure forever. 34. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus, it is truly great. 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy, but words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there is nothing to see.
In endless variety of mixture and proportion directed by my will, these mingle together for the production of forms they are.
When you listen for it, there is nothing to hear. When you use it, it is inexhaustible. 36. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft, overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a
Oh, look, it's that gay guy, Kevin.
mystery. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. 37. The Tao never does anything, yet through it all things are done. If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. People would be content with their simple, everyday lives, in harmony and free of desire. When there is no desire, all things are at peace. 38. The master doesn't try to be powerful. Thus, he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power. Thus, he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something, and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go. 39. In harmony with the Tao, the sky is clear and spacious. The earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy. The earth becomes depleted. The equilibrium crumbles. Creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. 40. Return is the movement of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. 41. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to embody it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. Thus it is said, the path into the light seems dark. The path forward seems to go back. The direct path seems long. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True steadfastness seems changeable. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is nowhere to be found, yet it nourishes and completes all things.
I think they're just trying to kick it down the road until they edge January. Let the Trump people handle it. Doesn't that create an opportunity where you can help? Like kicking the can down the road and giving it to the next guy? If Trump's administration does something good about it, then I think that just makes it tougher for Democrats down the road. Yeah, but the Democrats are such a shambles. I've been speaking to Democrats, not anybody important, but just people who would vote for a Democrat even if looked and sounded like Kamala Harris, and they don't seem to have any understanding of what they're going to have to do in order to win again, whether it's in 2 years or 4. So let the aliens pay for it. They've got money.
So Scott, I'm just typing in Roger Mayhem.
Possible that Jules is actually Brent on a burner account. Just possible.
Maybe, but Brent is far worse than Jules could ever be. Brent would say no to an obvious, tax deal because he would think that it would benefit the rich folks and not any of the folks that he knew. Brent would say no to a good idea if it walked up and smacked him in the face, essentially.
Well, yeah, and then he would deny ever saying it. He's actually regressed. He was bad before, now he's worse. This whole thing about not owning up to what he's previously said, it's a little bit
I'll say a prayer for you that you don't crash or have a panic attack or hyperventilate.
Yeah, I'd stopped thinking about all those possibilities about 3 minutes ago, but thanks for bringing it
I'm
up.
sorry. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm an asshole. But no, seriously, I'll pray for you. And, did you get on? Are you sick? My mom, she's a nurse too, and I told her, and she was like, oh my gosh, you better not take it when he's not on the plane yet. And so I was like, that's what you're trying to tell him. He's not going to get on. And yet, see, Chloe's saying it is the weakest of them. So that's why I take one, but yeah. Alright, I'm going to go. I'm here.
Ryan Trahan is definitely the opposite of Beast, but also heavily inspired by the way that he executes his videos. Yeah. What do we do with all the terrorists? Well, there don't need to be one country. They don't need to be terrorists, right? They don't be all, from the Euphrates River to the Nile River, all one area. Okay. Previous approach, which was to run everything as an NGO.
So for some really strange reason, this
Yeah, Roger Mayhem Healthy Debates Roundtable, 7 views streamed 2 weeks ago.
Hold on. We're in the abyss. Mike, do
you think that he's doing it to kind of like promote or provoke Putin?
I don't think Trump even understands. I don't think he's that.
This is so awesome, Chris.
You can see
Chris
his
recorded
rhetoric on Ukraine
recorded the
is
whole
raging
show.
fraud and mindless. So, you know,
This one was 5 days ago. Deep State Patriots.
Have positions in
No
government.
fucking views.
There's this grift thing that was able to be publicized during COVID, where
I'm gonna play the speed up.
people in Congress are exempted from inside trading, even though they get public information. So good luck. It's just too much financial chaos to know who's making the other side of the trade. Hypothetically, you would need somebody who wants to be kind of like a regulator. The last thing I see right now is the SEC following through on its investigation of more than 2 years ago, Elon taking an illegal stake undisclosed in Twitter before he then made the offer to buy it. It was a suit that the SEC announced just maybe weeks before the end of the year last year. It's going to go nowhere. Yeah, so be careful out there, guys. That's all. Yeah. No, it's good. Thanks, David. All right, let's do this. Let's go to Reverend Scott Jones, and then we're going to go to...
Holy shit, Scott, you're right in the beginning. You hear this?
Dr. Francine L., and then we'll get to David and Victoria. Hang on, David and Victoria. Don't go anywhere. All right. What did I say? I think it was...
This is 5 days ago, Scott.
And again, well, happy club anniversary. This is, yeah. Thank you for all the work you do here. And keeping this band of brothers and sisters together, it's amazing. I'm thinking about the imprecatory Psalms today. Psalm 58, Psalm 56, Psalm 109, Psalm 137, all from the Hebrew Bible.
Okay, explain that.
There are Psalms where you ask God to intervene and destroy the wicked. So when you look at Elon Musk and you look at Donald Trump, you can ask, open Psalm 58 and ask God to, it's in the Bible.
Scott, you fucking rat bastard. You got out of here, dog. We got you. We got you using the Psalms to try to kill people, dog. Busted, Scott. My deep state operative and the deep state patriots busted your ass.
You do always bring in a whole new dimension to the discussion. So
Those passages were probably removed from the Trump Bibles.
That's true. That's true. Just ripped out. All right, let's go. Steve, are you available for the Southern California report?
Got your ass.
Or are you on the phone?
Got your ass, Scott. You're busted.
All right, are you there? Now we'll get back to Steve. Francine, you're
Yes,
up.
well, what I wanted was to find out from Steve what this thing about the water means, because I guess ordered a whole bunch of water released from Northern California to
Okay, that was 5 days ago. So the name of that YouTube channel is called How to Waste Your Time. That's what I advised the creator to call it. How to Waste Your Time.
That America will never be a socialist country.
It's true. We're fucking socialists as can be.
to help Southern California fight fires, but it's the wrong and pass the shock and awe.
Is that El
so
Stern?
we can start to organize.
I under the bus for that terrible decency.
The alleged or whatever they're doing, hijacking of our treasury, which we should all be very fearful of, because as we've alluded to in the room, I mean, it's one thing to be a 200, 500 billionaire. It's a whole nother magnitude of control and power when you're controlling a $20 trillion economy. So therein lies I think the carrot that motivates a guy like Musk and Trump and his acolytes to privatize our country in a way that they would all enrich themselves off of, which remains to be seen how that would be played out. And I've got to call out my Democratic representatives who aren't screaming louder because we can write letters and make calls. You know, I live in California, and obviously mostly Democratic here, but our representative government is either going to be able to flex itself against these overtures or it's not. And I think we just lay down. I mean, we're seeing the media capitulate. We're seeing social media capitulate, and I just don't know, Ben. it's exhausting. You know, it's like
Totally.
yeah. So I just keep hope alive to champion Barack Obama's campaign, but you know it's tough. I mean, it's and then traveling. I mean, Ben, you're in Africa. You come across, you know, you're gonna. How do you explain to our fellow African citizens of the world of what we're doing? I mean, I don't want to travel anymore because every conversation, because they understand and they know what we do over here. They know our politics sometimes better than we do.
Yeah.
And I've had my share of horrible arguments and discussions about our failings as a great nation, and I think we're headed for another 4 years of that. Thank you, Ben. I'll end there. Keep hope alive, and enjoy the listening here and the great comments. So, thank you.
Great. Thanks, David. Really appreciate it. Okay, where am I? I'm looking at the thing here. We've got Cindy's back, so I want to definitely go to Cindy. Let's go to Victoria, Cindy, and then we'll go up the page. Victoria, you've been pretty active in the chat room. Why don't you tell us what's on your mind?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's too upsetting. And my husband doesn't like it. I need to focus on my work. So I don't know. Did anyone guess earlier that was the male version of me in my PTR?
We didn't realize, but yeah, I realized it now.
Just having fun with
I thought maybe
technology.
It was Victoria.
Sorry?
I thought maybe it was a picture of Greg, but it didn't make sense that he would let you do that.
Yeah. No, anyway, the technology is fun and interesting. And if we want to talk about trans, I was glad that Lady Gaga said something. And, you know, that the Grammys, and someone else said how the diversity of the people and the talent, you know, that's the stuff that makes our culture and our country so rich. And this administration wants to just, you know, take cracks at that, and it's so sad. But art will live on. So there you go.
Yep. I love it. All right, let's go to Cindy, and then Dr. James is in the room now. We'll go to Dr. James after that. Cindy, closing comments.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
I've got no pearls. I've only got, you know, paste. But what my thoughts were when Ellen talked about that piece written by Steve Bannon about, you know, just flooding the airways with garbage. That was exactly the thought that I had this morning. I thought they're throwing so much and doing, you know, what they can and then stepping back where they can't. And I feel like that's what it's all about. It's like keep us in the whirlwind so we can't stop and get our focus and pick a direction. And I feel like what we all need to do is pick a direction. Like I know for myself, I sent out a list of Republican representatives' phone numbers. It's like I can make phone calls. I can do that. But it's a day-to-day, one foot in front of the other. I can't tell you the stress level of everyone that I talk to, the trickle-down effect of these choices. For instance,
even though the blessed Holy One has removed himself from us, he has left a pledge in our hands that we got.
Because the babysitter won't be needed until she gets another job. And it's that trickle-down effect that everyone is feeling most directly.
Too many were traveling together as part of a group.
Everyone universally is worried.
The world
but we all just have to keep our mental health intact. One foot in front of the other.
How you been, Lord Randall, my son?
Switching for power. Not get bogged down in time. And again, I say it every day. I'm so grateful for you.
History, someone without a memory.
Yes, it wouldn't be the same without you. We love you, Cindy. Okay, where are we? Dr. James.
Waiting God.
Are you
The soft overcomes the hard.
No enlightenment today. I just wanted to say good morning, and I'm here, and I'm listening.
Okay. That helps. That's good. Oh, my goodness. Look, guys, I totally didn't look up above. Andrea, you've been sitting there. Jesus, you're so quiet. Why don't you give us
This is not a time to be quiet.
Exactly. Speak up, young lady.
Get loud. I'm slowly in the middle of losing my mind slowly and trying not to.
Dance, but this is a good example. You go see Alvin Ailey. Some black people dance Alvin Ailey better than other black people. And they have the same training. They're doing the same choreography. They've been doing Revelations for 20 years. But there was something about Judith James. And it is not simply that she was 8 feet 9 and was the most beautiful person in the history of the world. I mean, that helps. But there was something about how she presented the line while doing a jeté across the stage, latte. Anyway, so Jeff, you should stick on the genius point and don't let the constructiveness get you off of it, because some of this shit is inexplicable.
No, I do stick on that.
Okay, Scott, I think I've reached the end of my creative capabilities for the day. I'm switching back over to auto mode. We are jumping into the clown house. Here we go.
Only way we can change things for the better is if we do it together. Because that's what we all want. We all want a better future for our grandchildren as well. I mean, I want my kids are working, they're big now. But look, just like in America, buying a house is a problem. But I'm lucky, I got 3 children. And when I bought my house, it was 40,000 guilders. My first house, which was roughly about 20,000 euros. And today it's worth 380,000 euros times 3. So I'm lucky that I can give, out a home. But there's a lot of parents that are unable to do that. And my heart breaks for that, because every parent wants a good life for their child. This is why I empathize with refugees. Everybody wants to have a good life. Everybody wants to raise their children. But
You and me both.
Yeah. But
I had an option when Trump was first president. Mike Pence came to the Rio Grande Valley, and I was really not a fan of the child separation policy. I thought it was cruel. And so I had 2 options in my court. Option number 1, I could go meet and shake Mike Pence's hand, which, don't get me wrong, I think Mike Pence is probably a pretty good dude. And, I'd enjoy talking to him and all that other nonsense. But I knew expressing my frustration about immigration was going to get me nowhere. And I was probably going to say something to him that I shouldn't have said in the first place. And, there's a saying, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But I had this wonderful option to go to a place called the Good Samaritan House. The Good Samaritan House is a privately run facility for those going through immigration issues, dealing specifically with refugees and asylees. I met 2 women, one from Guatemala and one from Ecuador. They were both in their late 30s, early 40s, and they each had kids around the same age. Girls about 7, boys between 9 and 11. And so we sat down, and I started to talk to a congressman from Connecticut who had essentially just done a press stop and, went on to a radio show and bragged that he talked to some immigrants so that he'd win his re-election campaign. And I ended up getting to talk to these women. And so I asked them a lot of the questions that Americans would think of asking, right? Like, when Americans talk about their country, or when we talk about, say, how Ronald Reagan talked about it, we often refer to that city on a hill. And so I asked them, but flat out, I was like, did you come to America because we were a city on a hill? And they looked at me, they're like, no. And I was like, do you understand that per American law, you probably won't be able to stay here? And they said, yeah, I understand completely. And I asked, did you come to America because you want to make a new life here? Well, no. And I asked them, I was like, why did you come to America? What was the reason? And the 2 women both started out their explanations with, look, if it had just been me, I'd have stayed. But I had a girl around 7 or 8. I had a boy around 9 or 11. It's the perfect moment for my daughter to get sex smuggled, and it's the perfect moment for my son to get pressed into these drug gangs that smuggle drugs to the United States. And they looked at me and they said, look, America was the only safe place. And that stuck with me since they said it. I've never forgotten, and I probably never will, because it wasn't that we were this wonderful place that held tons of promise. It was that we were safe. That was their main qualification. They were physically safe in America, regardless of the status they held. They did not have to worry about their kids getting pressed into sex slavery or into a drug gang. They could go through their hearings in America in complete safety and know that both of their children would live in complete safety without that fear. And it's something, like I said, I've remembered since they said it. And it's something I think is incredibly important for people to know about the immigration system. And number one, I think it helps humanize those folks. But number two, I think it leads you down the road to asking questions like, how did the area get so unstable, right? Which leads back to American drug demand. But for me, that when I get that kind of heart because of where I live, that's a big part of the reason I have it, because we provide a sense of safety for these people that they receive nowhere else. That doesn't mean they have a constitutional right to be here. It doesn't mean we have to let them. But it does mean what they said to me is the truth. They weren't lying to me about needing to be safe. They weren't lying to me about their kids being at risk.